Hello, my name is Chris LeClair, the Director of Land and Resource Management here at Otter County. One of the functions of my office is to regulate the design, location, and installation of subsurface sewage treatment systems, or more commonly, septic systems. Today we're going to discuss one of the more common questions we get, which is, do I need a mound? And the answer to that question is pretty simple. It depends on the soil on the lot that the septic system is being placed. Before we dive too quickly into that question, let's answer a true or false question. True or false? Otter County requires homeowners to replace their septic system with a mound. The answer to that is false. Every year we have to report to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency the number and types of permits that were issued in Otter County for the previous calendar year. If you look at the last 2 years, for 2021 and 2022, mound systems accounted for roughly 30.2% of the septic system permits that were issued by Land and Resource. So not quite a third of the septic systems permitted in Otter County are mound systems. How does a septic system work? The septic system has two main components. The first is a septic tank that provides primary treatment, and the second is a soil treatment area that provides disposal and treatment of the sewage. A septic tank is actually an engineered piece of hardware, the first part of the septic system, and it has a function of separating out the components of wastewater. The solids settle to the bottom, the fats, oils, and greases float to the top, and then what comes out of the outlet pipe of the septic tank is a relatively clear liquid. The soil provides disposal and final treatment of the sewage prior to the sewage being discharged to the environment. In most cases in Otter County, that's the groundwater. Soil provides treatment to remove pathogens such as bacteria and viruses from the septic tank effluent. The effluent must go through 36 inches of unsaturated soil for treatment. And the four main types of soil treatment areas in Minnesota are the most common, which is a drain field or trenches. The second is a pressure bed, both of which are in-ground systems. And then there's two above-ground systems. The first is a mound, and the second is an at-grade. Now, if you look at the soil performance, how it treats septic tank effluent, the two numbers I want you to look at are fecal coliform and viruses. Now, if you look at septic tank effluent, the sewage coming out of a septic tank has anywhere from 1,000 to 1 billion colony forming units in 100 milliliters of septic tank effluent, and viruses are roughly the same. Now, 1 foot below the trench or any type of soil treatment area, for fecal coliform, we've treated it down to 100, and for viruses down to 1,000. Now you can see after 3 feet, both bacteria, which is fecal coliform, and viruses are gone. So soil does an excellent job of removing pathogenic bacteria and viruses that are present in septic tank effluent. Here's a side profile of a typical drain field trench that kind of details what we just talked about. So on the bottom of this picture, we have some type of restriction. Most of the time, especially in Otter County, that is some type of water table condition. And since Minnesotans get most of their drinking water from groundwater, we got to make sure we do everything we can to protect it and not let it get polluted from things like septic tanks. The distance between the bottom of that system and that water table condition has to be at least 3 feet or 36 inches so we get ample treatment of that effluent before that water discharges to the groundwater. Restricting layers are what my staff look for and what septic designers look for when they're designing the type of system that's needed for a particular piece of property. A restricting layer is a layer in the soil where there's either seasonal high water table, which is indicated by soil color. You can see in this picture, these are the colors that my staff and septic designers look for in the soil to indicate that at some point in the year, that depth below grade is saturated. Some other more common restrictions are bedrock, not necessarily in Otter County, but there are other parts of the state that have a lot of bedrock very close to the surface, like you see in this picture here. Massive soil and then rock fragments. Rock fragments are a little more common in Otter County. That's where you have soil profiles that have such a heavy rock content. There just isn't enough contact time for the effluent to get treated as that wastewater goes through those rocks just too quickly. So what if a site doesn't naturally have that 36 inches of vertical separation that we talked about earlier? Well, the solution there is the system must artificially provide that additional separation that's needed with what we call washed mound sand. And that's where the mound comes in. So here's a side profile of a mound system that is very typical in Minnesota. You can see in this case we have a limiting condition of 12 inches, so we don't naturally have 36 inches of separation. So we artificially provide that with some clean washed mound sand. And in this case we would put 24 inches here, and then we would put the soil treatment area on top of that. And there's some other engineering specs that go into the design of a mound. That's why you see the whole purpose of the mound is to provide not only support, but enough area for that effluent to go through that mound sand and eventually infiltrate into that natural soil profile that the mound sits on top of. So the question we're trying to answer today is, do I need a mound? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on the soil that's on the lot and the properties of that soil. You'll never know until you contact what we call a licensed septic designer to conduct soil testing on your lot. A list of licensed septic designers can be found here. The MPCA provides a website that allows you to search for a particular profession in the septic industry in the county that you live in. So in Otter County, what you would want to do is go to this website, select Otter County from the drop-down, and then check the designer box. Now keep in mind, a lot of the contractors that work in Otter County are based in neighboring counties, so it wouldn't hurt to also search for a list of contractors in some of the counties that surround Otter County. A lot of those folks work in the county as well. If you have any additional questions on whether or not you need a mound, why you need a mound, how septic systems work, or any questions related to septic systems, don't hesitate to give me a call. My phone number is 218-998-8105, or you can email me at cleclair@ottertailcounty.gov. The whole purpose of this video is to promote an event that is coming up on September 19th of 2023. The University of Minnesota's on-site sewage treatment program is offering a free webinar for homeowners to be septic smart. September 18th through the 22nd of 2023 is Septic Smart Week put on by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. As part of this week, Dr. Sarah Hager with the U of M is providing a free webinar to teach homeowners about the ins and outs of their septic systems. Please consider joining us for a very informative talk on septic system basics and how septic systems work. Thank you for your time.